Ladies and gentlemen of the Action Army, what is going on? And welcome to another episode of Answers for Athletes. In today's video, we have a question from Showtime LC3 who says, "Hi, how many reps and sets would you do for squats, calf raises, and RDLs in season?" So you know I always got to yap a little bit. I want to make this video better. So what I'm going to give you in the video today is I am going to give you the reps and the sets for squats, RDLs, calf raises. But not only that, I'm going to give you a full workout that I do with my high school guys in season. As you know, I'm a high school basketball coach, and we still do strength training in the season. I'm going to talk about the main goal of training in season, and I'm going to give you a couple other important roles. As you can see, I got a bunch of scribbles on my notebook here, and we're going to see where this goes. Hopefully, I don't yap too much. Before I yap, comment JUMP, JUMP, down below in the comment section for a free bodyweight vertical jump training program. Comment your question down below if you want me to answer your question in a video just like this. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and get my vertical jump secret system if you really want to take your bounce to the next level. And my in-season training program comes free if you get the vertical jump secret system. So there's that. So here we go. Where should I start with all these scribbles? Let's start with the main goal. Let's actually just answer the question first before I yap. So I would do for squats, RDLs, and calf raises, I would do 5 sets of 3 squats, one day focused on power, so 50 to 80%, 1 rep max, 5 sets of 3, moving the bar as fast as possible. And the other day, I would do 5 sets of 2 to 3, as heavy as possible. Yes, we don't avoid heavy strength work in season. Some coaches do. They like to do overcoming isometrics for their main force potential movement, but I like to do overcoming isometrics and lift heavy in season. So RDLs, I would do 5 sets of 3. I don't know why my voice is all jacked up. Probably because I just woke up. 5 sets of 3 RDLs in season, and I would do 4 sets of 5 calf raises in season. So everything is low volume, but I'll talk about that a little bit more when I give you the full workout of what I do with my high school guys. So the main goal of training in season is to either improve your performance, your strength, your power, your speed. Some guys want to get bigger in season as well. Your muscle mass, while also improving conditioning, skill set, learning all the plays, doing all the stuff that high school, college, pro athletes do. The main goal is to either improve all of those qualities or maintain all of those qualities. So I would say it's very hard to really improve all of these qualities while you're doing while you're having practices and games 5 to 6 days a week. But some people can. It's going to be easier for beginners. Obviously, if you've never trained before and the first time you're ever training is in season, then you're probably going to see some gains in season. If you've been, if you have a high training age, you've been training for a long time, and you go and you train in season and you just did some high volume work and you've been in the off season, plenty more time for rest and recovery, and then you go in season, chances are you're more likely just going to be maintaining or slightly improving. And then most people get worse. And why do they get worse? Because they avoid training in season. Don't let that be you. So that is the main goal, to try to improve these qualities or at least maintain these qualities in season. So a couple rules that I want you guys to follow in season. Number one is I need you to understand that in season, your training needs to be focused on what you don't get from sport. So if you're already getting it from your sport, you don't need to go in the weight room or in your training sessions and do more of it. So low-level extensive plyos, for my guys at least. This is all. Remember, all of this is just my advice. For low-level extensive plyos are completely gone in season. Why? We have practices and games and a bunch of low-level unorganized plyometrics in season. Extensive plyos. So we're not going to just go get more of that. Why? We already get tons of it. We're not going to do any conditioning work. I know guys are like, well, I'm not in shape. I need to do more conditioning. I mean, unless your coach is a bonehead, like, you should be doing your conditioning in practice. And that's another thing. Never mind. I'm not even going to yap about that. Like, a lot of coaches, they'll do conditioning first and they'll crush you. They'll run you into the ground. And then we go to try to do all this skill work. Or some coaches even do high output, like their weight training after that. Terrible. Anyways, don't want to yap. So just remember, anything that you're getting from your sport, don't do any more of that in training. You're already getting it. So what should you do? You should do high output, power work, plyos, strength work, everything that you're not getting in season, do that in the weight room. So mainly general strengthening and strength work. Another rule that I want you to follow is I want you to always train your lower body when you're fresh. Train your lower body when you're fresh. If you're fatigued like the day after a game, that's when maybe you can dabble into some upper body work. But your lower body for strength, power, speed, you really want to be fresh when you're doing that. You don't want to. So I'm just going to go ahead and give you some time. So I have two categories here. I have good times to do your workouts, so your strength training, lower body workouts, and then not so good times. So these are good times for you to do lower body strength training. So we're talking high intensity plyometrics, some power work, strength work. If you really want to build muscle, then some hypertrophy work, but I would actually stay away from that in season. So the day of the game, directly before the game, right before the game is actually a good time to train. If I were to work out, I don't have a basketball career, but if I were to do this, that's probably when I would do it. I feel the best. Remember, everything is low volume. We're not crushing ourselves. We're not crushing our legs and then going to play basketball. It's low volume, high output, power, strength, speed work. So the day of a game, right before the game. Most people aren't going to do this because if you're playing in high school and college basketball, you just don't have the time or the option to do that, or probably the desire. A lot of people don't even want to do that. But that is an option. Directly before your game is okay. The day of the game, the morning before your game. So we'll just say you have a game on Tuesday and Friday. On Tuesday, so option 1, directly before your game, Tuesday night or Tuesday afternoon, you could train. Option 2, the morning, Tuesday morning, that morning, you could do your strength workout. The day before a game, okay, this is when most of you watching are going to do that, or going to do your workout. The day before your game. So the whole goal is to train in a way that leaves you potentiated for that game. And we're not getting into all this fucking fairy magic potentiation. I'm trying to post-activation potentiation. But the whole goal is that you want to perform best in your games and not be fatigued for your games. So you need to train at a time that is going to allow you to be most fresh for your games. So for most of you, it's going to be low volume, high output work the day before your games. Okay. Now, another good option is directly after your games is a good option if you don't get many minutes, right? But if you get a bunch of minutes, you don't want to be really fatigued from your game and then go do your strength training workout. But for some people that don't get a lot of minutes, that might be an option for you. Okay, times that are not okay to train. The day after a game, if you're like super fatigued, super sore, super stiff, you don't want to be training the day after a game. And then you don't want to be training directly after a game the same day if you got a lot of minutes. Other than that, like you'd probably be okay. So just keep that in mind. You want to be fresh for your games. So you need to train at a time that is going to leave you with the most potential to be freshest for your games. So for my guys, we mainly have games. Everything, it always changes, but we mainly have games Tuesday, Fridays. So we would probably work out Monday, Wednesday. And if your coach is smart, Monday, Wednesday isn't going to be a super high intensity day anyways. The day before a game, when you're practicing, believe it or not, a lot of coaches fuck this up, but like you shouldn't be crushing the kids the day before a game. So that should be low volume in practice anyways. Should be going through the plays, going through, the strategy of what you're going to do against that team that you're going to play tomorrow. And while you do that, you're going to have your low volume, high output work when you do your strength training sessions. But all of this is just my advice. Do whatever you want to do. Okay. Let's get into the workout. the workout is, sorry, I was just seeing if there's anything I missed. You're going to warm up. And in season, I would warm up a little bit more than normal, right? Because people's knees tend to be a little bit more beat up. People's bodies in general, athletes' bodies are a little bit more beat up in season. So because of that, you want to warm up just a little bit more. So for my guys, we're going to go from doing 3 sets of ISOs to 5 sets of ISOs. We're going to go from doing a really short dynamic warm-up or skipping the dynamic warm-up in the off-season to actually putting that in there, or at least doing some plyometric sequences, something fun, just something to excite the nervous system, something to warm their body up. And then we're going to hit our ISOs 5 sets instead of 3. Then we're going to get into high-intensity plyos. Sometimes we skip these, sometimes we don't. But depth jumps, broad jumps, seated box jumps, sometimes approach box jumps. We do all of these for 5 sets of 2 or 5 sets of 3. So that's literally 10 to 15 reps max. Okay, maybe we'll put in 2 of these plyos if we have some extra time. So that's 20 to 30 reps of plyometrics. You see how low the volume is. Very, very low volume, but every single rep is max intensity. So 20 to 30 max intensity plyos. That's what we do. Sometimes we also do sprints because I know you're sprinting a lot in basketball games, and I said don't get what you get in basketball games, but when we sprint, we do 40 yards, and you don't really get top end speed in your basketball games because basketball court, it's a little bit shorter depending on what level you play basketball. But anyways, you don't really get top end speed. So we do sometimes in training. It's always good to sprint. Then after the high intensity plyos, we'll do power work. Sometimes we skip this too. Sometimes like the only thing that we always do is the strength work, right? Sometimes we skip the plyos. Sometimes we skip the power, depending on time. But the power work, the main 2 movements that we do for power work, just going to be honest, are high pulls and dumbbell box jumps, right? And I know these, depth jumps, seated box jumps, those are considered power, but I'm talking about like when we're looking at the force velocity curve, we'll grab some heavy dumbbells, we'll grab a trap bar and do some high pulls or some dumbbell box jumps, and guess what the sets and reps are? Can you guess? 5 sets of 2. Or 5 sets of 3. Then we'll do our squat. So with our strength work, we mainly just do a squat, a hinge, and a calf raise. So it'll be squat, trap bar deadlift, or rear foot elevated split squat. I don't care what they want to do. Complete autonomy. Do whatever makes you feel the best. A lot of guys love the rear foot elevated. A lot of guys love trap bar. Some guys like squat. But I give my high school guys the autonomy to do whatever the hell they want to do. Just make sure that you do 5 sets of 3. One day of the week, we're doing power, so a little bit lighter, 50 to 80% 1 rep max, moving the bar as fast as you can, or the dumbbells if you're doing rear foot elevated, or the trap bar. Move the bar as fast as you can. And then the other day is strength, right? So it's going to be as heavy as you can, 5 sets of 2 or 5 sets of 3. The next thing is a hinge. So this is an RDL. We always do RDL, right? Like, so you could throw in some hip thrust. You could throw in, I wouldn't really do Nordics. I wouldn't do lying hamstring curls. You can, there's nothing wrong with that. I've just found that those are going to leave you a bit more fatigued. Like, you're not going to do 5 sets of 3 reps of hamstring curls. You could. It just feels a little bit weird. So RDLs are where we stay. 5 sets of 3 RDLs, and same thing, power, strength. And sometimes we might even flip-flop this. So we do, power for our squat, but we do strength for our hinge. And over here we do strength for our squat, power for our hinge. It's really not going to matter that much. And then calf raises, we always add in there 4 sets of 5 calf raises. Now I do want to point this out. We skip these if we ever have like a really important game coming up. We will skip the RDLs and the calf raises. Why? I just feel like they can be a tiny bit more fresh if we don't do those 2. I don't know. Maybe it's in my head as a coach, but most of the guys have no issue skipping those. But yeah, we skip the hinge and the calf raise if we ever have like playoffs or a really important game. So if we're going to play a team that we're going to beat the shit out of, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you in the weight room a little bit more. If we're playing a team, this game matters. We really gotta. They beat us the first time. Like, we really got to split with them. It matters for playoff standings. We're probably gonna skip those, and we're probably gonna just same thing. Going back to one of the main rules: make sure you are most fresh for your games. That's the most important. And then, of course, make sure that you try to progressive overload all of these, even in season. Okay, sometimes it's gonna be hard, but so for the squats, the hinge, the calf raise, we are trying to slightly increase our the weight that we use on those, and always the speed at which we do them. And this is the very last thing that I want to point out. I know I've been talking a lot, but hopefully you got some value from this video. Leave any high volume work, any upper body work, any hypertrophy work, leave that for a day that you have extra rest. So Christmas break is a good time to go ahead and do some extra work, right? Because you can rest. You're off from school. You are off from, maybe you have college break. College basketball guys, you get in there a little bit more. But if you have any extra rest, this is when you do some higher volume workout. I want to hit some biceps and triceps. I want to hit some, hypertrophy for my upper body, even hypertrophy for lower body. Make sure that you have a couple days where you can rest and recover. So Christmas is a good time for that. Sometimes weekends could be a good time for that. Let's say you have a game on Monday and then your next game isn't until Friday. You could potentially, do that, especially upper body the day after a game. But mainly in season, you want to do low volume, high intensity. Hopefully this helped you. Get my in-season program if you are interested in my in-season program, or training in season, or maximizing your potential in season. All of this is in my in-season, Beyond the Rim in-season training program. I will link that down below in the description and the pinned comment of this video, or get the vertical jump secret system, and the in-season program is included. Anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Like the video, subscribe, and comment jump, and comment your question if you want me to answer your question in a video just like this. Peace.